What's up? It's Robert from Existence First, mental training for a modern world. Welcome to the Monday report on the human condition. It used to be called the Wednesday report, but now I do my podcast on Wednesdays, so welcome to the Monday report. I do this report on the human condition as a visitor to planet Earth. Why am I a visitor? Because I was born at some point on planet Earth, and I will die at some point on planet Earth, and that, by definition, makes me a visitor. Today is March 15th, 4 billion and something. And you might have thought I was going to say 2021, but I don't know where this 2021 comes from. That's kind of silly in my opinion, because the age of the Earth is over 4.5 billion years old. So the real year is actually 4 billion and something. That's something, I don't know exactly what it is, but you get the point, okay? So, the Monday report, how are human beings doing on planet Earth? If you're ever looking for a good laugh, go to YouTube and search monkey or ape escapes zoo enclosure. These videos are hilarious. At the end of this video, I'll put a link to the best one so that you can watch it. But let me explain this thing. Basically, these people go to the zoo, and there's 3 or 4 of these videos out there where people go on their little family trip to the zoo. They're filming the chimpanzees when all of a sudden one of them puts a branch or a stick against the wall, climbs up and hops the railing to stand literally face to face with these human beings. It's like completely trippy. It's terrifying on the one hand, but it's also really hilarious on the other if you have sort of a dark sense of humor like I do. Now, why am I sharing this story? Well, if we're going to understand human beings on planet Earth, we need to view planet Earth as a zoo enclosure. We need to view it from outer space looking down, kind of as if, this Earth is this little enclosure with this species and all these dynamics happening on planet Earth. Now, what's an example of that? Well, I was reading newspaper headlines the other day, which I do every day, and I came across a headline I really didn't like. The headline was something to the effect of growing violence on the street against Asian Americans. And I'm part Asian, and so obviously it's never good for violence to be happening to people, especially if it's being a specific ethnicity is being targeted. However, I didn't like the fact, because I read the article, and this article spent zero attention on the solution. It was 100% just problem focused, very, very victim oriented, and victim stance, victim frame, playing the victim. And this emphasis on, it's against Asian Americans. It's like the main point is the violence. We need to solve the violence, right? It's a distraction. It's from the news article. The news article is distracting us, because I would any single day, I would pick, if there's 2 people, one of them is full of hate but doesn't hurt anybody, and the other person doesn't hate anybody but is recklessly violent and regularly hurts other people. I would vote to keep this guy any day over the hate-filled, non-violent person over the violent person who loves everybody but has these accidents and just hurts people randomly. You know what I mean? So, that being said, let's kind of frame this back in the zoo enclosure example. So, if you have this enclosure of, let's say, apes, like gorillas, right? So you're at a real zoo and you've got this enclosure of apes, and there's one ape that's in charge. It's like the alpha ape, and it has the most power out of all of the other gorillas or apes, whatever, and keeps more bananas for himself than all of the other gorillas. Eventually, the other gorillas get upset about this. They start to band together to overthrow the alpha gorilla. And if you think this sounds strange and absurd, just read Chimpanzee Politics by Frans de Waal, the world's best primatologist. Now, let's say that this alpha gorilla gets a grasp on what's going on. He understands that everyone's about to overthrow him. So what he does is, one night while all the gorillas in the enclosure are sleeping, he goes around and on half of the gorillas, he paints a green X. And on the other half of the gorillas, he paints a blue X. And then he goes and he prints in this little gorilla newspaper that he creates, he prints an article that says, the green gorillas are being attacked increasingly by the blue gorillas. And he prints this article in this little pretend newspaper, distributes it in the morning, and before you know it, the green gorillas and the blue gorillas are fighting each other. And they forgot that they were banding together to overthrow this big alpha gorilla. So now the alpha gorilla gets to keep all of his bananas, all of his wealth, and all of the other gorillas are now fighting amongst each other because he has created drama among them. Okay, now, is that what's going on with the newspaper? And is the newspaper just this big conspiracy to keep the masses, distracted so that the people in power can stay in power? I don't know. I'm not one of those big conspiracy people, but the problem is that not enough people are saying what I just said. Not enough people are saying, I don't know, right? I don't know. I would need to know more about it, right? That's the big problem. Everyone walks around thinking that they know, and everyone walks around hungry for an identity to be handed to them, a blue X or a green X. And that leaves them vulnerable, and it's a perfect recipe for drama to start. Now, the bigger point, the bigger takeaway here is I'm not doing this video to make a point of down with the newspapers, right? Whatever. I'm doing this to show a way to read the newspapers, a way to think about it, a deeper way to think about newspaper headlines, rather than just react to it and be like, oh no, the Asian Americans, that's just so sad that they're being targeted, blah, blah, blah. Come on, let's not live at the level of an ant brain, and let's use our full brain and actually think, okay, well, why is this happening? What's the actual proper solution? How well is this article written? Does the article actually address any of the solution or not? Or is this article just creating drama on planet Earth? Okay? If everybody starts leveling up and thinking clearly about these things, then I think our planet has a much better chance of achieving peace. That's all for now. Think deeply and put your existence first.